So hello, it's been a while. It wasn't meant to be like this. You might remember me from last year when I tried to start a YouTube channel in the new year that kind of went belly up, hitting the plans, which I think pretty much everyone's 2021 kind of went in the wrong direction. I'm probably not alone in that. I was meant to have started this channel last year and I did kind of launch it just after the new year. I apologise if I squint a little. I'm really trying not to, but where I've had to set this up, the sun is just right in the corner, and but this was the best light. I also apologise if I sound like I'm full of a cold, because I am. Thanks a lot to my other half, who's lovingly shared his germs with me, and I've got a cold and a cough and a horrible sore throat, but I wanted to get this video done, so this is me saying, hi, I'm back again. Or this is me starting fresh, because last year never really got off the ground. I tried to, last year I launched my channel in the new year, and I'd pre-recorded some videos before the new year and put those out, and then like with everybody else, with 2021 life happened. We had some events happen in the household, and it just meant that I couldn't do what I was wanting to do. And I think maybe I made 10 videos and they were all super rushed. I wasn't happy with them. I wasn't happy with what I was doing. So I was like, do you know what? I'm going to start this again. I'm not going to delete those videos. They're there, but I'm going to start again and try and do it the way I envisioned I was going to do it in 2021. So this is 2021 take 2. So I was trying to think what would be the best way to come back and, to start again. Because last year when I started my channel, I came with an author tag video, and I thought, well, I don't want to do that again because the answers are going to be exactly the same. So while I was planning this video, I went and Googled Authortube tags to see if there was any others that I could do, and I found this one that's it's a getting to know you tag. I don't know who created it or where it's from originally. I picked it up off author JC Carpenter, so I'll tag her, and there was another guy whose name I can't remember, but I'll also link him down below because I watched a couple of theirs and thought this would be a really good one. Get to know me on my reintroduction back to Authortube. So there are, I think there's 10 questions. So we'll jump straight into it. So the first question is, what time do you normally write? This is a question with varying answers. It depends on what day it is. It depends on what's going on in our house. We have a extremely busy household. There's a lot of us live in the house, and so it makes for interesting to try and find a good writing time. Generally, we try and get up in our house around 5 o'clock in the morning to get some writing done. It's quiet before the children wake up, and we can maybe get an hour and a half writing session in because it's quiet. So what time do I normally write? Normally write in the morning before we have to go and do everything else. I apologise, by the way, I've got a throat lozenge and it's stopping me from coughing. I don't think you want a video that I have to keep pausing to have a coughing fit. It's not COVID, it is a cold. I also like to write in the evening. It's really good to write probably about 8 or 9 o'clock when the kids have all gone to bed and everything in the house has been done. And I used to do this a lot. Well, we both did. Just write late, and then till whatever time we get tired, when your eyeballs feel like they're going to fall out. It's not really an answer, is it? What time do I normally write? When I can. But I like to write first thing in the morning, and I like to write late at night. But that's just because of family. It's not because of that's the best time for my brain to write kind of thing. Saying that though, I do like to try and get my writing done first thing. I don't want to get into anything else in the house. It's that horrible thing, if you start doing one job, then you start doing all the jobs. So, you'll get up in the morning and the dishwasher needs unloading, and then you need to reload it, and then you go and put the washing on, and then you go and hang the washing outside, and then the animals need feeding, and the children need feeding, and then you've got to take them off to school, and then you come home and, oh look, you need to do the vacuuming, and before you know it, you've lost like 3 or 4 hours. So I ideally like to write first thing in the morning and before I do anything else. So it's literally get out of bed, brush my teeth, make a coffee, do those morning things that you have to do, and then get straight to my computer before my brain can kind of go, oh, what about just going to wipe the cooker down and get that ready for the day? Or what if you just, went and washed the bathroom down? You could get that job out of the way. If my brain kicks into that mode, I've lost my writing for the day, and it's super annoying. So I try to beat the kids getting up and to beat my brain kicking in to distract me from writing. Second question, do you outline or do you like to wing it? And I feel these questions are going to have loads of answers that are kind of like, bit of both, because this is a bit of both. You're asking if I'm a plotter or a pantser, and neither, both of them. Pantser, maybe. It depends on the book. It depends on how much it's flowing. It depends on a lot of factors, really. So I remember when I was first writing, and lots of people talked about writing this first draft and writing this second draft and third draft. I could never really understand how they did it. Did they just write and then delete it and write another draft and then delete it and write another draft? Did they write it and then edit it? Like, everyone talks about writing a first draft and a second draft and a third draft, but nobody actually tells you what that means. And so I had to kind of make up my own process. And obviously with I do, obviously my writing partner, he writes and he has a lot of advice, but the way that we work, and this is the way I found works the best, is, do I outline, as in sit there and write the outline out, write plotting cards? No, not really. Most of the time I don't do that. What I'll do is have a story idea in my head, and I'll kind of play with it, and I might do a little bit of a writing sketch maybe, and I might do a little bit of a scene, write a few scenes that I know that I want to put in there. But then I'll just start writing, and I'll write chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, but I'm not writing them with the view of that they're perfection, that I'm going to publish them, that they're going to go in the book, they're going to go into the editor or anything like that. They're literally just me writing them like a discovery writer. And then I'll print that chapter off, delete everything on my computer, put that piece of paper propped up in front of me, and retype everything. So what happens when I write the first chapter the very first time is it's a very naked chapter. It is literally like, character does this, character does that, character says this, character says that, this character comes in, and it's very basic kind of a thing with very little description. Because I found when it's first coming out my brain, I don't describe anything, or if I do, it's very basic. Like, he's got blonde hair, she's got brown hair. That's it. I don't kind of go into describe it on a deeper level. So, and that's just how my brain works. So I let it flow and let the story just come out and let the events happen. And then, like I say, I'll print that out, I'll delete it, and I'll type it, copy it up. And when I do that copying up, because I'm not now discovering it, my brain can kind of like slow down. I'm filling all the details. And instead of it just being a faceless man, I can describe him. Instead of it just being a room, a bedroom with a bed and a bedside table, I can put in the details that need to go into that story. And what I often find is, like, maybe I'll, like, for example, say I'm writing chapter 1 and chapter 1 comes out at 1,500 words. Great. Print it off, delete what's on my screen, retype it. When I retype it, that chapter can sometimes come out at 2, 3, even 4,000 words. Sometimes it gets split into 2 chapters because my brain's then elaborated a lot more on it. So, yeah, I mean, and I've never really heard anyone else. My writing partner does this. This is where I actually got it from. And it works for me. It's amazing. And I was listening to a podcast by Australia. It's not her. I apologise. She's not Australian. She's New Zealand. Steph Green. I was listening to a podcast with her on, and she talked about writing this skeleton draft, and I was very interested. It sounded very similar to what I do, but hers is even more rougher than mine. So she from what I can gather listening to, you'll have to, if I can find the episode with it on, I'll link it below so you can have a listen and see what she does. And so she basically writes this skeleton draft. She'll sit down and she'll just burn through the story. But she'll even leave sentences unfinished. Now, I don't do that. I do write complete sentences, and I'll write the dialogue, and I'll write he said, she said. I might just not add the details around it. So you're not getting, they sipped their coffee, they chewed on their sandwich, whatever. But she even does less than that. She'll write the dialogue, and then she might not finish a sentence. Or from what I can understand, if it's a fight scene, she might write, and they fought here, and then she'll jump onto the next bit. So she writes this really bare skeleton draft, and then she elaborates on it later in the next draft, which is kind of what I do when I'm deleting and rewriting. So it's very similar, and it just works for me. So do I outline or do I wing it? You could argue that my first draft is a very in-depth outline, and that my rewriting it is me writing to that outline. So I don't know. Little of both. It's kind of a mashup that just works for me. Next question. What authors do you admire? Apologise, someone's coming in bright there. Again, this is a question that could have many answers, because in what way do they mean? Do I admire their writing? Do I admire them as a person? Do I admire their whole process? So I'm just going to kind of do a few bits. So at the moment, I'm on a Nora Roberts binge session. I was given the book The Witness, and I read it, and it took me 3 days, and it was amazing. And I've never really read a Nora Roberts until that book, to be honest with you. I always thought she was kind of this wishy-washy romance author, and it turns out she's not. And I read this book, my other half gave it to me, said, you really need to read this. So I'm like, okay. And I started reading it, and wow. And so I admire her as a writer, and the way she creates her story. It was absolutely amazing. She, obviously I don't want to give any spoilers to the story, but someone witnesses something and then she follows it 3 years later, it coming back to haunt them. And I just love the way she developed the character, the way I felt that I knew the character personally, the way they felt like a real person, that if I went out I could possibly see them, or I'd walk past them without knowing. And as a writer, I admired the way she'd done that, the way she created this world. And since then, obviously, I've read loads of Nora Roberts books now, and they all do the same kind of thing, and they just grab you and pull you in, and I love that. So, yeah, I want to be like her when I grow up, basically. And she also is such a prolific writer. I think is the other name J.D. Robb, that she writes under the In Death series. I think that's got 50 books to it. I've got the first one on my Kindle, which I've read a bit of, and I don't know why I've not picked it up, because it's great. But yeah, she's just amazing, and I'm so glad that I got made to read her. Another author I admire, and I know it's not a popular opinion at the moment, but I love J.K. Rowling as a writer. I don't know her as a person, but last year in our family, the year was a bit crap for us, and there was a lot of, I wouldn't say downtime, there was a lot of busy time and not being able to write time. So we, as a family, read the Harry Potter series, because we'd never read it. And again, this was my other half, and he got into reading them because someone recommended he read them, and he read the first one, and then he's like, you've got to read this. So, and he said to me, if you don't want to read it, just read the first 2 or 3 chapters, and if you don't like it, put it down. Well, of course, I read the first 2 or 3 chapters, and that was it. I was like, wow, I really enjoyed this book. So, and then I read all of them, and I admire her craft. And I just love the way she will have something at the beginning of the book that's nothing. It's a little bit spoilery, so put your fingers in your ears if you don't want to hear it. But in the Chamber of Secrets, for example, when Harry and Ron have to fly the car to get to Hogwarts, Ron falls out of the car and he breaks his wand. It's nothing. He's just got this broken wand, and it's kind of talking about it because he's comes from this poor family and they can't afford to replace it, so he has to fix it. I think they fix it with something called Spello tape, which I just absolutely love that name. And you don't really think much of it apart from poor Ron when he's trying to do his spells, can't do them because his wand's broken and he can't afford to replace it, and that's it. But then she brings it back at the end, and it's like, it's the thing that saves them, basically, when Lockhart is trying to attack them in the Chamber of Secrets. And I just love how clever that is. It just seems to bring in these things that you don't really think anything of as you're reading it, and then she brings them back in later and it's something really huge. You're like, wow. And as a writer, learning my craft, that is one of those things that I'd really be able to love to do so seamlessly as she does it. Yeah, so that's two authors I admire for their writing. If we're talking about a person, as in not the person, but their whole career and everything, I've got another two. There is author Sarah Cannon. She's also a YouTuber. I'll link her channel below. She's got two, Heart Breathings and Sarah Cannon. It's the Heart Breathings one we watch more than anything. And she is just a writer who balances life with her writing, with her business, and I just admire the way she does it. And I took her course last year and learned a lot about myself, my own running of the writing and stuff like that. And so I just admire what she's achieved as an indie author. And I think, when people say, what author do you admire? A lot of people will jump to the big names, the Stephen Kings, James Patterson, myself, Nora Roberts, J.K. Rowling. But those indie authors who have come from just normal lives and are making it. So Sarah Cannon's one of those for me. And another one is Steve Higgs. He's a guy I have seen posting in the 20 books to 50k Facebook group. I'll link that below. This thing's going to be full of links. And and he also did an interview on the SPF podcast about his writing process. And I just love how prolific he is. I think he puts out 2 books a month. I think he put out 63 books last year or the year before. I mean, that's amazing. Next question. Do you write as a hobby or a job? Can I say, for the love of it, in our house, it's super creative. We're all into the creative stuff. And we always have been. I've got a writing partner. We all like creating. The youngest daughter is into creative arts and stuff like that. Everybody, we just like creating stuff. It's just one of those things that we all do. So, is it a hobby? Is it a job? It's a bit of both. It's not one or the other. I like writing, and with the help of my co-author, I've taken it from just being something I do at home to taking it to that next level. Is it a job? I always think of a job as that thing you do on a Monday that you hate going to. So no, it's not a job. Do I get paid for it? Yes, we do. Does it bring in an income? Yes. Is it our work? Yeah. But is it a job? No. And I can't even remember who said it. The thing about if you do the thing that you love the most, you'll never work a day in your life. Well, that's what writing is in our house. It's just life. It's not a hobby. It's not a job. It's just this amazing thing we get to do. So yeah, not really an answer, but that's my answer. What's the hardest part of writing for you? The writing? No. Not the writing, actually. The writing's probably pretty easy once you get into it. Once you get into that flow state, just go. So, marketing, if you call that part of writing, it's the after writing, like the pushing. I really hate the pushing yourself. You feel like you're pimping yourself out to people and pushing yourself onto people. And I know you have to, because that's how you get readers. And well, I can say I'm writing for myself. I want people to read my books. So I have to push my books. And I just struggle with that and the social media side, which is why I'm here, because I really need to get out of my comfort zone with regards to my writing. I can get out of it in other places in my life and it's fine, and I can stand up and talk to people. But when it comes to my writing, it's like opening part of my soul up and then giving it to you. And so it's super scary. So that's the hard part, is the pushing it, the putting myself out online, the making myself vulnerable. And if this question is regards to the writing process, then I'd say the editing part is the hardest. And this isn't because I hate editing, because editing is awesome. Editing to me is like, you know, when you've just decorated a room, you've done all the painting and the papering, and then you've got this blank room, and then you put in the basic things, like say it's your bedroom, so you put in your bed, your dresser, your bedside tables. And the editing part is the adding the flower pots and adding the pictures on the wall and the lamps on the window ledge and the candles. And so editing is cool that way. It's this way of just decorating your story. But for me anyway, I can get into that awful place of self-doubt and like over edit and start deleting things and then get into this is rubbish and I'm rubbish and I can't write and what the hell do I think I'm doing? And I can just get on that really bad mindset place. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. But the editing, it seems to be where this kicks in. Like if I'm writing, I'm just in flow, but once I'm editing, I'm pausing and stopping. And so it's just not getting into this mindset place for me. Do you have a writing routine? No. Simple answer, no. And I don't even know how to elaborate on that one because I don't. We just write. And apart from going to the bathroom and going to get myself a cup of coffee and locking myself in the office and putting Spotify on, there's no real routine. Really, it's just clamouring for time to get the writing done and get in, get the computer on and get writing. So no, there's no real writing routine for me. Maybe one day. Favourite solution to writer's block? If you ask my co-author, he'll tell you there's no such thing as writer's block. It's actually writer's stage fright, which I can understand, especially if you get into that my writing's no good kind of mindset, like I do. I tend to find if, I'm not even sure it's writer's block, because if I get stuck and I'm just not moving on, I will journal my story with my characters. I'll sit down with my character and I'll even do like an interview with them, like, what the hell's going on? Why aren't you doing this? I want you to do this, and why aren't you doing it? You know, as if they're a real person. And yeah, journaling helps me, and it'll help me out of a hole with writer's block, because for me, writer's block is really, I've just got stuck and I can't figure out why I'm stuck, so I'll journal to find out why I'm stuck. When Mason and I were writing I think it was Dead to Me, we both got stuck and we were both halting, and it was really annoying because the story had been going so well and it was like we had all these plots, but we just got to this point where we were just both weren't writing it, and it was like, what the hell is going on? So we traced it back to where it had been flowing and where we'd been back and forth and, you know, like that. And so we decided to delete 45,000 words. When I say delete, we cut them out of the file and saved them somewhere else because I don't actually have the heart to delete all those words. And we just picked up from where it had been good. And it worked. And that was the way out of writer's block. It was to not be afraid to delete words and not be afraid to go back on yourself. Yeah, so that's my favourite way out of writer's block. How long have you had your writing block? This question seemed a bit weird when I was reading this to be here, because I had to check, is this a thing about, is it Authortube, author blogs? But okay. So how long have I had my writing blog? Not very long, maybe about 2 weeks. And there's not very much on it, to be honest. So Mason and I have decided to start this writing blog called The Writer Thing. I'll link that below with everything else. There's not very much on it. The website is still in construction. We're going to use it as a blog. I'm going to blog on it. He's going to blog on it. I will write blog posts to go with my videos, and they will go on there. He will write blogs, and I will probably make videos about what he's blogging about, because, yeah, why not? Steal his content with his permission. So we have this blog, but the goal of it is to be like a writer's website. We're going to put on prompts. Mason has a prompt course. We're in the middle of writing a course on how to use Patreon as an author. We're also writing a course about how to write your first book. So they're all going to be linked on there. So it's going to be a bit of everything, but that's going to be my blog as well. Last question. Do you think the blog helped you as a writer? Not yet, not really. I think it will do, because I think the more we put on there, the more it's going to help us. And there's the old saying is that the best way to learn anything is to teach. So if we're teaching what we've learnt, then we're going to develop what we've learned even more to make us better in it, to then kind of grow. So no, the blog's not helped me yet because it's still brand new and in its infancy, but yes, I think it will help me as a writer to develop and grow and all that stuff. And that's it. That's all the questions done. Sorry, most of the answers were kind of like, I don't know. It's this or that. So I hope it wasn't that much of a pain to follow. And I'm really sorry about my voice and squinting and all that. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give this a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and then go smash that notification bell so that you can get a notification when I post more videos, which I will do this time because we're not going to have any disasters. Life isn't going to come and smack us in the face this time. Anyway, that's me. I'm out of here to have a good cough. See you later. Bye-bye.